Welcome back yet again to another episode. How are you feeling?
I'm ecstatic.
How are you feeling?
Excited.
Leo amekuja na jezi
Rejuvenated.
Leo today ishakauka, imekauka.
Finally it's off the dryers.
The match is off the dryers. It's here with us in the flesh.
Yeah, baby.
Red Bull it is.
It was coming, man.
But Brazil though.
I was waiting for Vegas, lakini it came too early. It came early.
Allah, today you're not introducing us. What's going on?
No, hold on. We're just opening with the opening remarks, you know. The opening remarks. Let the host do his job, yeah? You know, let me do my job. Opening remarks. How are you feeling though?
I'm feeling very I don't have the words. But it was inaweza nini?
You look conflicted.
It was a relief.
Conflicted.
It was a relief.
It was a relief.
A relief, yeah.
Why was it a relief?
That Max can win again.
Okay. So anyway, guys, welcome here to another episode of Pitboard discussions or the Pitboard discussions. I know it's been a while, 3 weeks and counting. We had to, press pause and enjoy the triple header. We had to enjoy it, man. We're fans just like you watching at home and listening, and we just had to enjoy. We had to soak it in. I was too busy being happy at the double of the triple header. I was too busy being happy. My house was strictly Fratelli. Ukiingia tu, ukifungua tu mlango, ilikuwa tu the Fratelli. Italia, na. That's all that was going on until Brazil happened. Now, for those of you unaware, we are recording this episode immediately after the events of the Brazilian GP and rest of the season, guys.
Yeah,
rest of the season.
For me, it is the rest of the season.
Rest of the season, guys. Yeah. It was one hell of a GP. You know what? I'm not even going to dumb it down.
Applause.
Wape applause, bana DJ selector. Wape applause. Brazilian GP.
That sound is just
everything about it. Everything about
the
it
entire
was
weekend
box office.
was bonkers.
The entire weekend was box office, and we got to see some things that I'm about to unravel inside the pod, and I'm going to talk about them. There's somebody hapa alituambia mambo about action, alituambia about championship drive, but we won't get into that just yet. So, after the events of the Brazilian GP, Max Verstappen is back. Mliona Simba amenyeshewa mkadhani ni paka. That's an African proverb, a Swahili one in fact. And it says you saw a lion that has been rained on and you thought it was a cat.
Is he back to winning ways, or is he back as the title favorite?
I think it's over. I think the title is now wrapped up with that
drive. If you ask me, that drive is the one that we will say secured this championship.
Yeah. Now that is what it's called.
Drive, yeah.
That is what it's called.
That's a championship.
A championship drive.
Yeah.
He came here on the pod and talked about Lando Norris having a championship drive, and I was like, "What championship drive?" And this was after the events of No, it wasn't Singapore. It was Azerbaijan. This was after the events of Baku.
Yeah.
It was after the Baku events, because I'm the one who made the shot. I made the shot. I remember it vividly.
Okay, is it? Did he lead every lap? Because the one I said is the one he led every lap, and he had pole.
No, that was Singapore. He led every lap, but he didn't win the Grand Slam because a certain honey badger took it away from him.
Lap.
Yeah. Yes.
That was Singapore.
That was Singapore.
Took it away.
Yeah, that is the one I said is a championship drive.
Yeah. It still wasn't. This is now what a championship drive is. This is a championship drive. Coming from the back, he was facing penalties after penalties after penalties. I don't know. They wanted to chain him huko kwa paddock, gari jiendeshe. Until Max Verstappen told them, "Listen, I got this. Aura Stappen. Alikanyaga tu pale. Aura." And he was like, did you notice after his race, the post press conference, there were no English journalists. So and there
was also no if you listen, if you follow those things about journalists and everything, most of them were not there. Even the Dutch journalists were not there.
Catching flights.
We are trying to sell a narrative. Let us sell the narrative. The British journalists were not there. This guy is trying to give us context. We do not want context right now. We do not want context. We want what we saw. We're trying to sell something. I'm trying to sell the viewers something and the listeners. I'm trying to sell you guys something.
Continue.
Let me sell them something. No, okay, look. Jokes aside, Max Verstappen had one of the greatest showings I've seen in motorsports. And I know it might sound like I'm overpraising it, but believe me, I'm really not. He has the third fastest car on the grid. And he hasn't won in 10 races.
Since Barcelona.
Now, listen. It gets to a point when you're in a Grand Prix where the car can't help you any more than you can help yourself. The car can't help you. And now your skills kind of kick in and they take over. Because this wasn't a car's race. This was a driver skills race. It was wet out there. It was raining.
No DRS.
It was slippery. We had a black flag.
Red flag.
We had a red flag. We had a yellow flag. We had a virtual safety car. We had guys going to the beaches. Going to the banks, the gravel traps. We had guys skidding all over.
Hitting barriers.
We had guys wrecking their cars into a mangle.
Bruh.
We had... What didn't we have?
I think we had everything.
We shouldn't be asking what we had. We should be asking what didn't we have?
Maybe the meatball. That car, is it black and orange flag? Let's say a driver is driving around with a car that has some dangling parts. and you need to come to the pits. I think that was the only flag that wasn't.
Because everything was there. We had fines. We had cussing.
Ooh.
We had... What else did we have? We had heated moments. We had everything.
We had people bottling the first lap.
In short, if you're trying to get into the sport, of course, we had that one. We had that one. We had people bottling the fastest lap and bottling the championship in as it is. Because after the sprint race, we had a sprint race in Brazil. After the sprint race, somebody had cut the gap to 44 points. 44 points. The gap was 44 points.
Wasn't it 42 at some point?
44. After the sprint race, after the events of the sprint race, it was 44. The gap was down to Lewis Hamilton. Yeah? After the race, the gap is now 62 points.
Yeah, baby.
Now, 62 points and 3 races left to go.
Do we have any sprint race left?
Yeah.
Calendar?
We have one more.
Where? Lusail, Qatar.
Yeah.
It's one more. Yeah.
We have one more.
In Qatar.
Now, crazy enough, Max Verstappen could finish 6th in all the remaining races, including the sprint. Lando Norris could win all the remaining races, including the sprint, fastest lap included. And Max Verstappen will actually be crowned champion at the end of the season.
Bruh, at this point in time, I'll be honest, I am prepared for anything. I'll look at Max as...
My hand is on that trophy already.
One hand.
I'm already holding it.
A few fingers.
A full hand.
For me, Max needs to win either that sprint or he needs to win one more race for me to say, okay.
He wins in Vegas, it's done.
Because, bro, this year, our power units have just been shit.
But he has taken another one, which I
Who
think
knows?
we discussed.
Who knows what
remember,
might happen
I don't know if it is here or we had discussed that Max. I think it was in the Nini, because I remember Will was there. We had said that Max is likely to take another engine.
Yeah,
because the one he took it way earlier than he's supposed to.
Yeah.
And it's because of one engine. I don't know what had happened, so he needed to take it. So we expected that one.
Yeah.
But now, when he took the new engine, my mind is beating. You remember 2021 Lewis when he took the new engine?
He was
and his first race was in Interlagos.
Brasilia.
Now I'm getting flashbacks.
Actually, wait. We have to talk about. Are we still on the topic of great races?
Yeah, great races. Great drives.
For me, the Lewis 2021 Brazil. That entire weekend he was on something else.
He was on point. Yeah.
Remember he qualified. Then I think he qualified P1. Then he was disqualified because he had that career wing, that gap infringement. Then he took a new PU, so he took a 10th place penalty. So for the sprint race, I think he started P11 or something. My memory serves me right.
But then the how you finish on the sprint race, is it how you started on the...
Yes,
2021
it was like that,
Yeah.
Then rest day, man, he was just going through people.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing about the events of 2021 is I remember guys downplayed it a lot, me included. I'm guilty of that. I downplayed it because guys were like, nah, it's a Mercedes, it's Lewis, and these guys are at the top of their game right now. Like, they're untouchable. Nobody can actually compete with them. But now looking at things in hindsight or in retrospect and seeing as how Lando has struggled with the top car on the grid, you now have to give Lewis his props because remember, Lando was still the same guy calling out Lewis and saying, listen, trying to downplay his achievements, and he was like, listen, if I had the fastest car in the Mercedes that Lewis was driving, every driver would have actually achieved what he achieved. And that's not clear. It's clearly not the case because Lando had a 10 race opportunity to catch up to Max and build a lead. Because remember, the lead Max Verstappen is currently riding on is the lead that he garnered from the opening 5-6 races of the season. That's where he's getting this lead from.
That's around 12 races ago or something.
Yeah, he's been riding this ticket all through the season because he's been struggling. He's gone winless for 10 races. Like, when's the last... Folks, listen, the guys who are watching this on YouTube, when's the last time you saw this guy wearing Red Bull merchandise?
I usually wait in my house when I go to sleep.
That's exactly how long it's been since Max Verstappen actually did anything of significance. And I'm not trying to throw some shade to him, but this need was very much needed. It was a very much needed win because, you know, they've been through hell and back. I can say that.
Yeah. Mushiri, I remember Mushiri mentioned there's also another race, Kimi Raikkonen 2005.
Yes.
From P17.
From P17.
Yeah.
All the way to the win.
Yeah.
And those times, the regulations are, to some extent, the regulations were different. But the fuel that you call it with is the fuel that you should start with.
Refueling was still a thing.
Yeah, refuel was still a thing.
When is this? 2007?
2005.
205.
Okay.
So in that race, Kimi started 17, but I think he had more fuel than a lot of guys. Normally, when you qualify lower, most likely it's because you qualified with a lot of fuel. Those were very different days. But all in all, it is a drive that was seen as one of the best, especially for Kimi. Coming from P17 to winning and overtaking for the lead in the last lap. You know that first corner? That's why you overtook and went on to win the race. And that is the time when Fernando was dominating. Also, Fernando had a phenomenal drive.
Schumacher was also.
Schumacher was also there. Yeah. So for this one, the reason why I find it Nini is because not only did he win, but he won by 19 seconds, starting from 17.
Will you also sorry, finish. I also have another race which
that has eclipsed the Max Verstappen's drive. For me, before this race, I would say, if you asked me what was the greatest Max Verstappen drive, I would say it's the 2016 Sao Paulo. But this drive, it has eclipsed that one.
I'd argue this is actually Max Verstappen's best performance because first and foremost, he wasn't the favorite. He wasn't the favorite. He didn't have the best car on the grid. He had been facing some issues. You could argue he was out of form.
Oh, bro, he had a rough Saturday.
Yeah, you could
Also qualifying was rough.
yeah, you could argue he was out of form because like he's talking about qualifying, and I remember Horner during qualifying was so frustrated and he was like, you could still get another lap out there if it wasn't for etc. etc.
But there was some controversy about that. I don't know if we can talk about it.
Yeah, but let me finish. No, so coming into the race on Sunday, we had a favorite. We had guys who had actually locked out the front row. And
they had won the sprint race.
Lando
and the other guy, Oscar, soon to be Red Bull driver.
You're not throwing Russell inside there.
And
I think George was impressive.
Yeah, George was also.
By me, if you ask me, even this season, George has been very impressive. Particularly even in this last races, I don't see him making those mistakes that he usually makes.
Hey, bro, but he crashed Qatar, Mexico.
It's the car.
Hey, we are not talking about George.
It's the car.
George will get his time. George will get his time. George will get his time. We're still on Max.
Favorites? Who are the favorites?
Yeah, looking at Max Verstappen, how he raced and how the events played out, I was just like having flashes of 2021 Lewis Hamilton drive. It was just quick flashes. You're just watching the race and it's like, like you know that camera effect where two clips are playing at the same time. I was just seeing Lewis Hamilton 2021, and I was like, if this race doesn't prove to doubters that Max Verstappen is that guy or is the best talent of this generation, I don't know what else will. Because guys have always been like, nah, Max is a whiner, he's this, he's that, he's everything. But one thing Max Verstappen is not, is a bad driver. And one thing Max Verstappen is a legendary driver.
What was your favorite overtake of Max in Sao Paulo?
Was it Gasly? Was it Ocon or Gasly? One of the Alpines, turn one.
To take the lead.
Yeah, to take the lead. That was one.
Yeah, that was Ocon.
He said that the inside of turn one had more grip during the rain. I don't know if it reflects in the sim.
I haven't done any wet racing.
Because they say when it rains, the grip is not on the racing line. You know, when you're out of the racing lane, that's where you find more grip. That's what.
But I think it also depends on the camber or the nature of that. Because if the racing line on a wet track and let's say it's sloped like this, then water will be, of course, flowing down. So if you're on the intermediates, then a wider line or an outer line maybe might give you more grip. I don't know how that corner at turn one at Brazil is.
Because in lap 1, at the, is it turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, beginning of the, at the end of the corner, Senna S. See, I don't know if you remember, he overtook like a multiple cars on the outside.
Yeah. Guys, people were packed and it was like,
and Perez had the best seat watching.
Bro, you know, Max. you just reminded me of so I was watching the race with my lady, and then the race has started, and then just a few seconds in, I'm seeing a Red Bull somewhere in the shot. I'm like, wow, Perez has made up places. And then my lady's like, no, that's Max. I'm like, what?
That
can't be Max.
That's turn 4. He overtook a train of cars.
I think that's actually where most of his overtaking took place. That specific place. That's where most of his overtaking took place. If you actually look at the places where he actually overtook most, that's the place. Because like you've asked, what was your favorite overtake? I've talked about Ocon. It also happened at the same area. It also happened at the same area.
Ocon was turn 1.
It was turn 1, but it's just before the Senna.
That's the same area.
Just the same area.
Hey, he also took a place from Piastri. Beautiful. Still turn 1.
I think the only one.
Just wasn't even expecting him.
I think
even me, I wasn't expecting it. I was like, he's going for it.
I think the only person who actually kind of put Max at bay for a minute.
It has to be Charles.
It was Charles. Charles is the only guy who was actually,
and this is something you said before. There are only two guys who know how to race.
Preach. Tell them the gospel.
And Charles.
Yeah.
Those are the only guys who can deal with Max. People are talking, hey, Lando. Tell them.
And Charles was actually very defensive because he was timing his defense on the inside. I think he knew that Max is going to dive on the inside, so he was braking.
And Max had to be conservative over there. He had to be very conservative.
Hey, bro, it's wet.
Yeah, he had to be very conservative because it was at the same time, guys huku nyuma were doing everything. Huku akina signs were going off track. You know, like the track has some turns to it. Guys were trying to make the turn, but you see the car going. Like guys, what's this guy's name? The Canadian guy. Stroll. Stroll was going out in the formation lap, and I'm like, hey, Kwani, it's
bro,
not bad.
There was something going on with the Mercedes powered cars, man.
Did you see that meme of what it is to try to rescue a Stroll?
No.
Have you ever seen that meme of a sheep that is in a crack on the ground? You remove it, and then it runs, and then it runs and jumps on the
Are you calling?
You have watched that meme?
Are you calling?
Somebody put it.
Calling
that Stroll. when you try to rescue Stroll,
he's going back into the same hole. Going back to the same hole.
Atoka mbio. You can't help
That's
that,
not
guys.
nice. That's not nice.
Oh my days.
It's not me who put that meme.
That's not nice.
That was embarrassing though from Stroll, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had that going on. And we can't talk about Max Verstappen's stellar showing at Brazil without talking about the triple header as a whole. Because the triple header wasn't relatively good on Max. The triple header wasn't relatively good on Max. The race before Brazil was the Mexican GP. And
Just
in the Mexican
penalties.
GP, like the Brazilian GP, The Brazilian GP, he also had penalties. He had a grid place penalty because of taking a new, was it a power unit?
PU,
Yeah, he took a new PU. Now in
Mexico.
Cota and Mexico.
Autodromo,
Hermanos
Rodriguez. Now, in Mexico, or Mexico as he wants to put it, he had penalties and 2 of them. And now these penalties stemmed from hard racing. Now,
Do you call it hard racing?
but it is hard racing, illegal racing. For that matter, it was illegal because
Okay.
there are some things Max did that. Hey, come on!
Yes.
I know you're desperate.
The second penalty, that was all on Max.
The for with the Lando.
Yes.
The one he
just
pushed out
decided to send it all over to go wherever. Anyway.
Whatever happens.
I'm not standing.
This
Good
was
luck.
Max Verstappen doing things he wasn't supposed to be doing. I don't know why he looked desperate. I think the 9 winless streaks were now getting to him. They're now getting to him, and you could see him cracking, and it's understandable because this guy is coming to take your championship. And he pushed the first one. I think he actually pushed Lando off track.
I look at it differently.
Yeah, he actually pushed him out of track. And the other one, a gained advantage because he went off track and maintained his place.
Yeah.
And 10 seconds for both of them. Now that accumulated to 20, and Max was livid. I'd say he was livid because he couldn't believe he was given 20 seconds for that. And you could tell he wanted to swear, but he couldn't swear because once bitten twice shy. Angefanya community service, angekuwa huko Amsterdam tena for another week scrubbing them floors, and he didn't want that. But he had to face that, and was it a P8 finish or a P9 finish? What was it? P6.
Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico was a P6 finish. It wasn't P8.
Still,
it was a P6.
Oh, that's a decent drive.
Yeah.
That's a decent drive. But he was losing a lot of ground in the championship points. Now that's Mexico. Go a week back because it was the triple header. Go a week back to
Cota, baby.
Cota. And it wasn't another good showing by Max Verstappen. It was another unimpressive performance. And I know you guys getting into Cota, you guys were just like, wow. After the events of Cota, you guys were like, wow, now the championship. Looking at that championship, you guys were now, look, the threat is now clear.
Yeah.
The threat is now clear.
Remember, before our last episode, which we recorded before the triple
The event
header.
of the triple header.
I wasn't convinced that Max had this championship wrapped.
Yeah, me too.
In my head, that McLaren, I have seen before the quarter, we're looking at Singapore, we're looking at Monza, before the summer break, etc., etc. That car has been set up to dominate in all manner of tracks. Yeah. And even Mushiwi predicted they'd be really good at Brazil. Yes, it rained and that equalized things
but they did
everyone.
Take sprint. After they took sprint, I knew it's over.
Yeah, yeah. Those McLarens were looking really quick. And the only way in which Max maybe would secure this championship, it's not yet secured, but the only way I was looking at it is if one of the McLarens DNF. Or if Lando DNFs, or if the Ferraris come into the picture, and because also Ferraris were looking really good.
Yeah, the two races.
Yeah,
the
so I
first
was
two
also
races
hoping Ferraris will get in there and
Minimize the damage.
yes,
which they did in the two races.
yeah, quarter in Mexico. Yes,
Yeah.
they did. Yeah, but thanks to the rain at Brazil.
Alhamdulillah. Anyway, so that's what happened, and now Max Verstappen is in a position whereby he is actually looking like he's going to successfully defend his world championship. We know the Red Bulls aren't going to defend their constructors' crown, but
That's gone, man.
Max Verstappen looks like he is going to defend his world championship.